Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and today we got a state of the galaxy. And I think this was really needed, some sort of communication. So we finally got it. And so I'm excited to read through this. I've already read through it once, maybe twice. And it seems mostly positive. I know that there are going to be some things that people don't like. That's just going to be the nature of the beast, guys. Like, you can't make everyone happy. But I think there are a lot of positives in here. And so definitely want to go ahead and dive deeper into it. But real quick, if you guys like these videos, make sure you guys hit the like button. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it as we're pushing towards 1,000 subscribers. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move into the video. Okay, guys, before we go into the post, I just really want to quickly kind of talk about what I think the state of the galaxy or game is. Right now, I think it's not a stretch to say that things weren't really well received between the nerf / buffs, the conquest changes. There's a lot of stuff that was definitely not positive. I think this was the most that I've seen players of my kind of range, GP range, leave the game, which was a little bit alarming. I'm not gonna, sit here and lie, but I think we needed some sort of positivity. I don't want to say that I was all negative or anything like that, but there definitely was a little bit more to complain about, I would say, and I don't think that's a pessimistic view saying that. So we'll read through this a little bit. I'll talk to you guys. I'll give you guys my takes on some of these things. And I understand that not every single thing, and they understand this too, like they understand that not every single thing everyone's gonna love about this, but I think there's a lot of really positive things in here. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay, so it says we have some exciting news. There are several important changes coming to Galaxy Heroes we want to tell you about. Some of the changes outlined below are in today's updates, and others will come in the near future. Okay, so some of them are going to come today, the day that I'm posting this, and then some are just going to come in the future. And it sounds like they actually have like a kind of like a roadmap of like how they're going to kind of fix some of the things that they've outlined here. So basically today's update is going to bring new matchmaking system to territory wars, which is really insane because we actually have territory wars coming up pretty soon. So we should be able to see if it's a hit or miss soon. Adds a new set of rewards and introduces Relic IX. Now there hasn't been a post yet for Relic IX. I'm really curious as what Relic IX is. They've showed us now how we can get it. I'm assuming a post is going to come within the next day or so, or maybe even today, about what Relic IX actually is, because we still don't really know. We got a teaser that it was supposed to be good for tanks. It was supposed to really highlight survivability, health, protection, whatever, crit avoidance, who knows. I'm curious as to what that is and what it looks like, because again, we still haven't gotten that communication yet. So we know how to earn them now. We don't really know what they are, and I didn't think this post changed any of that. So that's just something to keep our eye out for. This also sets the stage for big changes to gear in Galaxy of Heroes, which is a huge topic for people, a lot of people. Like, it's even people up at the top, like gear is still always a problem, right? Because they introduce a new marquee and it has 500 Kairos and 600 stun guns and 300 Carbonti, right? And so eventually you start running out of gear too. So, okay. Territory war changes, right? This was arguably one of the biggest things that I think people hated in the game, or maybe hate is a wrong word. I think there's a group of people that really enjoy territory wars, and then there's, I'd say, a bigger group that just dislikes it or is pretty much hot or cold to it. Like, they don't care about it at all. And a lot of those people that didn't care, some of it is because they just hate PvP in general, but I'd say a large majority of people hated it because, or not hated it, but just didn't find it useful because the amount of time and investment and things needed for the rewards that were given back to you, right? If you lost, sure, you lost a Zeta, you lost a few gear pieces, but it's like whatever, right? A lot of people just were signing up and just kind of calling it quits. The other thing is, like, there was this whole TW matchmaking thing where people were sandbagging, or guilds were sandbagging in order to get favorable matchups. And so some of this stuff is going to be addressed, but I just kind of want to give you like my take on what territory wars is, in case you guys still don't quite know, or like I'd say like the current state of TW. So they're adding divisions, so they're adding more divisions. This is kind of what I asked for a few weeks ago in, I'd say, SWGoH events Discord server, because it's just more of an incentive to push up into a higher guild, right? Like sometimes it's just nice to just, you know, breeze back into a lower guild and you still are getting the top rewards, right? So yeah, it should be interesting. So they've added a ton of new divisions, right? So pretty much everything above, I want to say it's 260 now, or 250. Anyways, they've added a ton of new divisions, and they got this little Excel spreadsheet that shows you basically what's happening with, you're adding an additional gear raid box, core gear box, which is, from what I could tell, the core gear was what they're talking about is stun guns, I don't know actually if Carbonities were on there, stun cuffs were on there, the Mark 8 eyeballs, for lack of the golden eyeballs, and I think the Mark 5 droid collars. Those ones I know for sure they specifically called out. I'm not certain if there's more in there. Like I don't know if Carbontes made it. And then they're gonna give us a Relic 1 through 7 box, which is kind of interesting to me. Like, is that like, do you open up the box and you get like, do some people get Relic 7 materials? Do some people get Relic 1 materials? Do some people get, you know, like, I'm just kind of curious, or is it like 5 of each? That should be interesting. And then arrow magnifiers that are added from some of these divisions, and then Relic 9. So this is, right now, this is the only way to get Relic 9. So just something to be kind of aware of, right? Like basically you have to be in a 300 mil guild plus, and at least the 300 mil guilds have to win in order to get Relic 9 materials. So that's what those little slashes mean. So they're saying like, hey, the left side is win, the right side is loss. All right, so reward changes, right? We just kind of talked about it. They're just dropping the droid brains. The other one you can craft. So yeah, there's just adding more gear into TW, right? And again, the thing that I think gets lost on people, like especially people that are like, oh, it's not that good of rewards, is it happens twice a week, and it's, the attack phase really is for one day. Now, I know every TW officer just like cursed at me because they're like, well, it's a ton of time for TW officers to invest in. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying for more people than not, because not everyone's a TW officer, it is a very good game mode in my opinion for the amount of time and things that you had to do invested into it, especially if you're not in a TW guild, so you could just kind of goof off with it. Like, it was actually a pretty good return of investment, again, with time spent. You set some defenses, you maybe attack once or twice, and then you call it good. This is going to change this, I think, but yeah, it should be interesting. So they're changing matchmaking. So they talked about this. This was one of the big things that I think, again, people were really discouraged with it, because yeah, people don't want to fight. I've seen some ridiculous things, like when they run the hot bot, basically like they're fighting like 100 GLs more. Like it's like crazy, like it's an insane amount. And so yeah, they're just trying to equal this out, right? So basically, I don't know if they're necessarily targeting, like it doesn't sound like it's going to be more of like a GL equal things, but they do specifically call out like this system better accounts for guilds that bring smaller number of powerful players. So that to me reads a lot more like kind of like the GA matchmaking or GAC matchmaking, where it's like, hey, we're taking the top part of your roster and we're just going to continuously, maybe, you know, the top part of everybody's roster, and we will match you up with the other guild that has the top part of their rosters that is equal to yours. Now there still is a lot of variability in that, right, depending on how many R7s you had and R8s that you had on people that weren't like Galactic Legends and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, like that sounds like in theory it will help with some of that stuff. And then this part definitely sounds a lot like the old GA Grand Arena, where you might be Division 4 and might be fighting a Division 5 guy, right? But it does note specifically in here that the number of defenses needed is determined by the lower guild's division. So if you're the Div 5 guild, it's going to be that guild's, you know, that's going to be how you set defenses. But each guild's prize pool is going to be determined solely by what division they're in. So if you lose to a division, you know, I think it's the other way around, 13 or whatever it is, you're still just going to get your guild rewards based on your division. So that's interesting. While these changes are intended to have immediate effects, we also expect there to be a starting point for greater ability to fine tune these things in the future, right? So they're basically just saying, hey, they're gonna you know, monitor this and maybe adjust it if they see fit. So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's talk about Relic 9. This is probably the part that people probably, if TW wasn't like what you wanted, I could see that being a little bit like meh. But Relic 9, I think at this point is, we just don't know, right? Like I am interested in Relic 9 just because, again, they teased that it was supposed to be this thing that really helped out tanks. We haven't received any word on what actually Relic 9 is. So yeah, I don't know. We're getting 2 new pieces, right? And it's much like our R8. Basically, these droid brains will be exclusively from Territory Wars for now, and then these keypads, the Greta keypads, are going to be crafted from the Jawa Scavenger, right? So just like Crankcore, when Crankcore came out, we could craft the we could craft the impulse detectors, but we could not make the arrow magnifiers, right? So that's going to change some of that stuff. This is still going to be scary to me because, again, impulse detectors are the stopping point for me. I think that's how a lot of people feel like, and I'm going to read on because it's kind of confusing to me. They seem to think that arrow magnifiers are the stopping point because the way that they're kind of reworking these rewards is going to kind of tailor arrow magnifiers to more people. Again, we might need more arrow magnifiers. Like, that's pretty typical with relic levels. Like the next relic level, it requires less of one thing but more of something else. So we might require, you know, only 10 arrow magnifiers or impulse detectors and maybe like 30 or 40 or something like that arrow magnifiers. So this might place more of a change on arrow magnifiers being that choke point and maybe ease up that choke point on the impulse detectors. But right now I see the impulse detectors as the key, you know, to even getting to R8, let alone R9. So I'm curious as to why they seem to be, you know, with TW they're adding arrow magnifiers. With this one, they're flattening out the arrow magnifiers so more people are able to get them. It seems like they're really worried about arrow magnifiers. You know, Conquest gets them. There's a lot of places to get them now, but the impulse detectors are, I think, still the key to unlocking those relic levels. So anyways, that's just kind of that for me. And let's talk about now Relic 9, because they said this is the gear, or that Relic 9 opens up a great opportunity to talk about gear and some big changes coming in the future. Okay, so there's a multi-phase gear update. So again, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, it sounds like they kind of got like a roadmap, like a multi-echelon effort in order to kind of ease the crunch on gear, right? And so they have like these goals, all right, allow new players to progress faster. I think that's great, because they've already accelerated shards, but the shards mean nothing if they can't get past gear 7, right? Like, it's great that these guys can farm these guys quicker, but guilds need people that can put gear 12 on a character, right? Gear 12 should be like the way that I described this in my stream is like, right now we're at this place in the game where the gear, anything before gear 12 is really like kind of inconsequential, right? You need people at gear 13 because it adds speed to characters, it adds stats to characters, and then it gets them to relics. Without gear like the whole thing before is like you just got geared down and shut down in like gear 7, gear 8, gear 9, right? Like, it was just a slog to get through. And that was the problem. Like, who uses Gear 7 characters anymore? It, like, especially if you're trying to push into higher guilds and you're trying to, you know, make a difference and benefit your account too. This was a huge problem, and so I can understand like that gear gate. I understand that it's not going to get easier as, you know, some people, and then Relics used a lot of those gears too, so there was a ton of problems. So I like to see this anyways. We make a whole separate video about gear crunch because it's crazy. Accelerate all players' abilities to unlock and engage with relics. Okay, so again, we kind of talked about how Gear 13 really is at this point in the game, you know, especially if you're in that mid to end game, I would say that gear, like once you get to Gear 13 Relic 0, you have kind of entered into that character's viability, I guess. There's other people, like, you know, people will bring out like all the time, like, oh, I use a Gear 8 Nest and stuff like that. Like, okay, but for the most part, you need the speed, you need the stats. Relics really are where you kind of unlock a character. And then ease older gear hurdles, again, kind of what I was talking about before. So they basically say like, hey, you know, gear is a core part of their system. We understand it. It's how they probably make a pretty big chunk of their money, quite honestly. And they even said like, hey, gear isn't going away, but everyone should set to receive more stun guns, carbantes, etc. Okay, so they do actually call out carbantes. So this is like this is kind of cool. They're outlining this in phases. So and they'll announce more stuff as it comes to like that phases time. So they're gonna kind of update this as they see fit, I guess. So phase 1, which is not in today's update unless it's specified. So probably, if I had to guess, we're probably gonna get the like daily stuff, but probably some of the other stuff maybe not. All right, so this target is for all players. So this goes for everybody, right? This is going to try to help everyone. Daily challenges changes. We're going to get salvage for Mark 5 stun guns, the Mark 8 biotech implants, which was those eyeballs, the Mark 3 stun cuffs, the Mark 5 droid collars, right? So again, this is kind of what I would consider what they're saying is their core gear. And they say more core gear added to the shard shop. And here's like what I was always wanting, like I hope they kind of maybe take this into consideration for the core gear. It's cool that they're gonna add more of it to it. I'm cool with that. That's awesome. But maybe just add more of it to a single purchase, right? Like they don't have to decrease the amount that costs to purchase it. But like instead of just 6 stun guns that I can buy at the shard shop, maybe just make it 20, right? Like you can gear people faster, right? Like a lot of people can't log on, you know, what is it, refreshes 5 times a day, something like that, 4 times a day. They can't log on 4 times a day at different points in the day, right? Like they sleep, they work, whatever. So maybe just make it like 10 or 20 or 25, right? So that way you're earning like, you know, a bigger portion of that stun gun that you need. Therefore you can add it quicker. And again, you might have that extra shard shop currency. Just an idea, I don't know. But okay, so they've already talked about the territory wars prizes expanding, and as mentioned before, territory wars have been updated to add the additional stuff. Increased quantity for all gear from the daily quest. So that means like the stuff, like I think we used to get like 3 to 5 chirotechs and then like a core gear piece. So it sounds like that might be increasing, just kind of my guess at least. And then approximately double drop rate for gear on PvE hard nodes with character shards. So that's pretty huge. So now farming those shards, when you're farming them up, right, you're like, for instance, I know when I was farming up Wicket, it was great because I was also getting stun guns. But now that the shards doubled, you farm up that shard faster. So, you know, mathematically speaking, like half the time. So therefore you're not hitting that node as much, or you're hitting that node quicker, I guess, for lack of a better term. But the gear never increased with that, right? So you're only getting like half the time farming stun guns. This will now help with that. At least it sounds like it's approximately doubling the drop rate. So again, while you earn more Wicket shards, you're also earning more chances at a stun gun, which is great. in my opinion. Okay, so then the next target is to catch up newer and mid-level players, right? So the territory battle prize changes, basically what they're trying to do is make it less noticeable for not getting a max crate. That's what it sounds like to me. Because they're saying this decreases the difference between the top and bottom gear prices, right? So it sounds like they're going to try to boost up those other gears, those gear boxes, in order to try to make the end box not less desirable, but less of a bigger deal. Kind of, I don't know how I want to say that, but it sounds basically like if you get 32 stars, you're not going to be super depressed because you didn't get 33, even though the rewards are better still with every star, which makes sense. And again, it kind of talks about, hey, this is targeted at mid-level players who are completing territory battles but are unable to reach the top prize. And then other prizes remain the same. And then the Galactic Challenge prizes changes, right? So Galactic Challenges comes out every, two times every week. So again, a lot of people sometimes they can't reach the max crate, especially like those new to mid-game players, which I think truly are the guys that really benefit from Galactic Challenges, right? There's shards in there, there's credits, there's all sorts of things for them to really gain and help, again, twice a week. And when you're a new player or even mid-sized player, you might not have every single faction at gear 12 or relics or whatever, and so this really helps them maybe not feel it as much as they used to. So this is kind of interesting, right? And it says this phase 1 update represents a starting point to begin addressing many of your core concerns around gear. The October road ahead will discuss phase 1 in more detail, so stay tuned for that, and there will be more announced the next phase in the near future. So we are going to get an October road ahead. It will probably be at the end of the month, because that is seemingly what they like to do at the very end of the month. So very, very interesting. There's a ton of here to talk about. I personally think, like, in many cases for me, I think this is very, very good. This is definitely going to be the time where we find out who was all serious about, the reason why I don't play Territory Wars is because the gear. Like, it's the difference between the rewards aren't as good, right? So this is a little bit of I feel like this is almost a little bit of a call out, right? Like, this is like, hey, we're upping our game in TW, right? We're fixing some of the stuff, we're fixing the matchmaking, we're fixing some of the gear, and the win-lose, right, split. There's quite a bit. Like, again, remember that this is multiplied by 2 because you do 2 in a 1 week span, right? So the extra gear boxes and stuff like that. But specifically for the win-loss stuff, like, if you win at this 380 mil level, you're gonna get 5 of the droid brains, I think is what they call them. And so, yeah, like, that's a lot different than getting 1, or even just the 1 to 0. Or there's a lot in here that's gonna incentivize winning. I do think that we're gonna start to see people kind of push back into either their guild being TW serious, just like we saw with Crankor, right? Crankor was one of those things where a lot of people didn't like it because it started crashing guilds, right? It started their guild that they really, really loved and stuff like that. All of a sudden became obsolete because they couldn't complete Crankor. I think we'll probably see something similar like that, guys. Like, this is, you're probably going to see guild shuffling, and you're probably going to see more people be like, hey, I'm going to finally take the plunge into TW serious guilds. Even though in here there's some stuff that is trying to, it sounds like, kind of benefit those people that maybe don't take TW as serious, right? Like, it sounds like eventually you will get matched up with people that lose a lot as well, if your guild is losing a lot too. So hopefully eventually you do kind of get a match that you can win. But ultimately, I think it will fall down to, hey, like, a lot of people will want to be part of something that's winning. So I don't know, for me that's pretty interesting. The Relic 9 stuff, like I said, I'm waiting to see like what the heck Relic 9 does, because they kind of tease it, and I want to see what it does and how specifically it's going to benefit tanks more. But yeah, anyways, guys, this was a longer video, it was a longer post. There was a lot to talk about in here. I'm really curious though as to what your guys' thoughts are. Do you guys see people coming back to the game because of this? Do you guys think that people won't care? Do you guys think that like it's still just whatever? I'm always interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Any feedback from me as well, I definitely want to hear it, because it's important to me as well. If you guys haven't liked the video, I would appreciate you guys doing it. Again, reminder to subscribe to the channel, because I'm certain that the Relic 9 announcement is around the corner somewhere, and I'll definitely, you know, give my take on it once we get there. And yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.